Welcome. We are the Fab Fatties. My name is Alyssa.
I'm Rebecca.
Allie.
And I'm really excited for today's episode because we have our first in-studio guest.
Whoop, whoop.
We're going to talk to Allison, who is a body image therapist today. I'm really excited to have her. We're going to talk through what body image is, why the work is important, and then we're going to do our own body image session. So stick around and keep your fingers crossed for us because I think it's going to get a little emotional.
We're scared.
Before we bring Allison in, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. Allison Gregory, is a licensed clinical social worker who now works in the outpatient world, treating individuals struggling with eating disorders, depression, anxiety, trauma, and body image concerns. Allison enjoys working alongside clients who are ready to conquer challenges within their self-worth, negative body image, and self-esteem. She entered this field through working at a higher level of care eating disorder Philly. I know the one very well because that's where I met her. And that's where she gained so much helpful knowledge and helpful ways to treat the complexities that come with these diagnoses. Diagnoses.
Yeah.
Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Thus, that's why she's here with us today. And we are specifically going to discuss all of these topics together. Allison, I was cleaning out my desk room at home, and I've have this journal. This was like my main journal at Renfrew, but when I first started at Renfrew, my mom sent me with this little bunny rabbit book, and it's very clearly from early on. So I'm gonna read what I wrote after a body image group, and I want to say that these were inside thoughts. So reading them out loud, it is very aggressive. But I wrote, I just lost my shit about body image group this morning and my appointment with psych. Psych is worried about my heart health, which just further validates my parents' unhappiness about my weight and size. So, fuck. Fat kid with horrible health. Body image group just fucking sucks. Sitting in a room with a bunch of beautiful, skinny girls who all hate their body. I would kill to be in a smaller body. I feel so unseen. And then I have a bunch of doodles. You could tell I just gave up after that
Yeah.
and drew a tree and a snake and a flower. But I shared this with Allie and Rebecca the other day, and they thought it was a fun way to kind of jump us into the episode.
Sure.
So welcome.
Fun.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I think it's the reality of
Yeah.
doing body image work. And I think one of the big differences that I've never experienced is doing body image work with other people.
Yeah.
Right. And not just hearing your own thoughts about your body, but hearing other people's thoughts. And like you said, if you're in a room of skinny people saying things where your body is like the antithesis of what they want, it's really hard to
Yeah,
not
think
internalize
100%.
that.
I think that would be the scariest thing
That
for
would
me.
it
you
would be
know?
really
Like,
hard for me to be vulnerable in that situation.
'cause
yeah.
I think we so easily now talk about our bodies, but this feels safe, right? This feels safe talking about it with other fat girls. I can't imagine. Props to you. I can't imagine right
Well,
now.
I wouldn't give me props. I was not very graceful about it.
Well,
You know.
listen.
Hey, listen,
I'll
you
let-
did it.
Anger fueled work.
Yeah,
is
It's still work.
it is. Yeah.
But I mean, I can't imagine. And I say that and I know that I've had conversations now that I wasn't able to have before with, straight size people, but I still can't imagine I can't imagine going back to my old real estate team and being like, "Hey guys,
Yeah,
remember some of those conversations you used to have around me?
yeah,
We should talk."
100%. So, Allison, I'm so happy you're here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Yay,
Um,
welcome.
I want to be super clear that me and Allison know each other
Yes.
from when I was in eating disorder treatment. So
Yeah.
Allison has seen me through some of the really,
Hard moments.
hard. I think that's a gracious way of saying
It
it. Hard moments. But Allison, what is body image therapy at its core?
Sure. I think it's really about digging deeper into beliefs that you have received about your body, whether that's good, bad, right, wrong. And a lot of times I see that like categorized. And how does that impact like the way that I interact with myself? And
Mm.
how does it impact how I interact with the people around me, but also like the world around me? And do I connect that to like my self-worth or my self-esteem? And, you know, what do I do with that when it's negatively impacting like every area of my life? So, not only food, as that shows up a lot of times, but the other areas of like interaction with others and then how you treat yourself. So, getting to the core of that and then doing a lot of practice and unlearning and I think relearning about how to like take care of your body.
Yeah. Would you when would you say that body image therapy is the way to go versus therapy? Like,
Hmm.
when do you think it's to the point of doing specific work
Mhm.
around body image?
Good question. I think everyone can do the work.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I think, I think you've seen this as like the body image spectrum,
Yes.
taking you back a little bit, but that spectrum of like body hate all the way up to body liberation. And there's very few people that I know that are all the way on this side of things. So how can we, if you are on this other end of it, I think anyone in that end can use body image therapy specifically. I think just every woman, I mean everybody in the world deals with it, but every woman specifically has lots of messaging about their bodies. So I think everybody really could use body image
Yeah.
therapy. But maybe when you're seeing like that real negative impact of like daily life is
Mm.
hard because of my body.
Mm.
I really love that when you were talking about that spectrum, you went from body hate to body liberation. You did
Mhm.
not go from body hate to body love.
Right.
Mm.
And I think that that's such an important distinction because it's not the goal, right?
Yeah.
It's not the goal. The
Right.
goal isn't like, or I don't know. I guess for me personally, but I, that's what I believe, right? The goal
Mhm.
isn't. I don't think that's an attainable goal. That you're going to wake up every single day and love yourself because if you have been raised in this world in this society, I don't think that waking up every day and thinking that you're going to love every single inch of yourself is going to be possible. But I do think that body liberation is possible, where you can wake up every day and not think about it and be free of thinking about your body and what it looks like and how you're going to feel when you go to the grocery store or when you go to work or when you go record a fucking podcast, like it's
Yeah.
just I think that's such an important distinction and I'm so glad that you said that. Um and I feel like you probably could explain that better than I'm explaining it right
Yeah, I have
now.
to admit, whenever I hear body love,
Yeah.
my mind goes to like it's really there could be a point where you get your body to something you love. Like I think people have ideals. That's why there's plastic surgery and why like
Sure.
Mhm.
there's lots of things that people do to make their body look how they in their mind want it to look. But then I'm like, but then comes like the maintenance, like the not being able to age. There's
Yeah.
like your body doesn't stand still, so
No.
you can get to a point where you love it, right? But like your body's not gonna stay the same ever. So to me, yeah, like the body love part is really hard. So what does body liberation then mean in your world?
Yeah. I think liberation to me kind of feels like powerful, so like feeling really empowered in your body.
Mhm.
And I do think that takes a lot of work because of all the things that we're talking about now and all the things I've heard in previous episodes that y'all talk about too is like how do I feel empowered in a world that's saying that I'm wrong?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, I don't know. Power just is the main word that comes to mind, empowering. And I think part of that is acceptance too. Like I think that's on the spectrum if you look at it, but acceptance to me is like, you know, can I be okay that with the fact that my body is going to change, it's not going to stay the same. And in changing, it's doing so much for me that I don't
Mhm.
even recognize too.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And it makes me think of too a lot, Alyssa, you've talked about in the work that you've done and the work that you're still doing, that there's grief and there's mourning
Yeah.
for the the body that you wanted.
Allison is the person who helped me put words to that
Mm,
actual feeling.
really?
It's
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if you remember, I think there was like a day where Chelsea was out and I came into your office. I was like, oh, nice. I didn't even know you had a little place over here. And I got to have a session with you. And I was just like,
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm trying to figure out what the future looks like now that it's not like I'm not working towards what I thought I was. And you were like, yeah, you're mourning the loss of what you thought it was going to be. I was like, oh shit, I guess I am. I guess I am mourning that loss. Um, I'll also say, when it comes to that, I don't know what we call it, the body image spectrum.
Spectrum. Mhm.
The first time I heard of it, I never heard of body neutrality in
Mm.
that sense. Like the
Mhm.
middle of that whole spectrum is just body neutrality. Like, can
Yeah.
you talk factually about what your body actually does for you and what you're able to do in your body? And I was like, oh my God, I don't even know if I can do that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know if I can talk about it in a not negative way.
Yeah. And I
That
think that's
spectrum, yeah.
yeah, I think that's like pretty much the first step in working on body image in therapy is we're going from like such a low point or a bad relationship with our body that like we cannot jump to I love it or like I feel so empowered or
Yeah.
liberated. Like we have to be able to just be like, here's the facts about my body, or here's the function of my body part that I'm hating today. Like, what does it help me do? And why do I have it? And can I not judge it? Can I just be neutral
Yeah.
about it?
Yeah. So what do you think really makes, I mean, of course we all, have our own uh appreciation for body image work, but what do you think makes body image work so crucial, especially now?
Yeah. One thing that comes to mind, I kind of already talked about this, was that it impacts like every area of our life.
Sure.
So, not only how we're interacting with ourselves, how we talk to ourselves, how we treat ourselves, and how we interact with food, but it also, takes away maybe some of our authenticity when we're not in a good relationship with our bodies. So, we're not showing up the same way towards other people, or we're isolating because of our body image, or
Yeah.
it's important to make that good relationship with your body happen so you can be in line with your values, so you can follow your passions, so beliefs can change, and you know all of that to be said, like you're working up to that empowerment and that liberation of you know I want to show up as my true authentic self and have a lot of freedom around it, because having a bad or negative relationship with your body feels so isolating, and um just like you're kind of like locked down, right? Like
Mhm.
you don't do a lot of things when you feel like you have a bad relationship with your body.
Yeah.
It keeps you from a lot.
Yeah. I know she's about to cry already. I felt it for a
Yeah.
minute, but sorry. Listen.
I
It's been a
love
tough week.
tears.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah.
been a tough week, and I'm just
Yeah.
like I feel all those things. Like I finally feel all those things. I feel empowered. I feel authentic. I feel like I am finally the person I want to be,
But it's different when people come and attack that person.
and people
Ooh.
don't like it.
It's different
Yeah.
when people attack the authentic you and
Yeah.
not what you
Mm.
are portraying.
And it's like they're attacking the authentic me. I'm 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 finding a lot of, especially this week, that like they're attacking the low hanging fruit, right? It's like it's like I don't even know how to describe it. I don't even know how to describe it other than it's just like, well, you're gonna die soon. It's like,
It's not.
well, we can't. I can't make you feel bad about this or that or this or you're not ashamed of yourself, so you're gonna die soon. It's like I literally
So
think of these
extreme.
people and like that audio from like TikTok or whatever that's like, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. And like in their heads, they're except there's nobody in their heads that it's like, don't say it, don't say it. But it's like they literally are just like, you're gonna die. You're gonna die really soon. You're not gonna make it to 50. Why? Why does that matter to you? Why does that matter to you? Why does it matter to you that I'm having fun?
Right.
Why does it matter to you that I am that I think I'm cute, that I think I'm hot, that I love my life. Why does that fucking bother you so goddamn much? It's been a tough week, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, like it's really hard for me to understand people who say those things because it's not true.
Mhm.
Right? And they're very much operating in a world with a very narrow-minded view of what it means to be a fat person and what that fat person's life is going to pan out to be. And so part of me just like they're so ignorant,
Mhm.
right? But then they have to darken our doorsteps with their words, right? We can't ignore it because one of the things you're talking about that I think is really important because sometimes people are like, look, we get it. You're a proud fat girl. Just own it. Our fatness goes with us everywhere. Our bodies go with us everywhere. Our fatness goes with us everywhere. We don't get to hang it up on the door and not think about it. Our fatness goes with us everywhere. It affects every area of my life. And when the people I'm having to engage with have that narrow view of fatness, that you're going to die at 50, and they look at me with pity, with you're not living a life well deserved. You're making poor choices and you're going to waste your years.
And you don't deserve
Mm.
to be living the life that you're living.
That affects me because guess what? They do treat me differently than people who don't view fat bodies that way. And so, no, my fatness doesn't get to not mean anything. In fact, you saying that means my fatness means a whole of a hell lot, And so it really is hard because I do feel like sometimes people want us to shut up about being fat.
Mhm.
Guess what? We can't. Guess what? We won't because fatness affects our entire lives.
Yeah. I was gonna say, to quote Rebecca from a past episode, we're fat, in case you didn't know that. So the question I think, Allison, is how do you see body image work showing up in patients,
Mhm.
in people in society, or even like just friends that you're hanging out with? I'm sure as a body image therapist, you're always like, ah,
Yep.
flagged it, flagged it.
All the time. All the
Yeah.
time.
Do you see any trends or any, I don't know, I feel like we sit here and like Rebecca said, and from our experience together,
Mhm.
like it is different when you are fat because it is so demonized.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
you are a bad human because you
Mhm.
are fat.
You've morally failed.
The
Yeah, like there
shame.
is the shame, the
Shame.
moral value, like it's
Mhm.
so heavy on heavy people, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in what you see.
Notice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. First of all, I think what you're saying about friends and just like people out in the world, I have increasingly like had to say something to people like so many times.
I bet.
And, whether it's family or friends or just random people and I'm like, "No. No, don't say that." And it's frustrating and the one thing that comes to mind too is the word fat and talking to more people about how that is not a bad word.
Mm.
And I don't know if you remember in one body image group, I shared a TED talk about a woman who was in burlesque.
Yes, I do.
And I don't remember your thoughts on it, but I know part of that was like her intro was like, I'm fat. And we have to take the demonizing like meaning away from that word. And I find myself doing that. I find myself, talking to people or friends about can you say that differently about your body or do we have to have that kind of belief um but I guess like back to your question of what I notice and similarities is the shame. And I actually wrote that down today to talk about was there's across the board and no matter what body, there's so much shame in what my body is or why it's wrong or
Mhm.
why I am wrong because of my body. So whether that's messaging that they got when they're growing up from peers in school or nowadays like these young kids I'm working with and all this social media
Mm.
that's they're being bullied constantly and they're consuming so much media that's this is the right way. Here's what I eat in a day. Here's the workouts you have to be doing. Yeah. And, I tell them, okay, block those accounts, like block that. We don't need to be consuming that at all times, but really noticing the shame of, I don't want to leave my house because my body is wrong. I can't decide what to wear. I don't want to talk to anybody about how I feel about my body because what am I going to receive when I talk about it? So those are a lot of similarities that I
Well,
noticed.
one of the things I'm noticing on social media, and I feel like emboldens some of the people who talk negatively about us, but let's you know, even if it's not about us, they're gonna find some other person to talk negatively about, is the idea of like let's bring shame back. That people aren't being shamed enough
Mm,
for going off the norm. So like you mentioned that shame is something that you're seeing as like a big thread
mhm,
through these. I don't know if the question I'm asking is like, why is shame bad? Like, what negatives can shame give? I feel like I can name it for myself, but like, why is shame something that we shouldn't celebrate shaming people or
Mm.
that as a, I think people see it as an emotion or a feeling that's productive,
yeah,
Yes.
and I
yeah.
see it as one that's destructive. So I'd
Me.
love to
Yes.
hear what your thoughts are on shame.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I group that with all the other emotions
Mhm.
and how every emotion is important. The function of emotions. Roll your eyes at me all you want. I still use it.
That is me rolling my eyes for our listeners, and I rolled them real loud. Ugh.
They all are telling us something. So, I always think about Brene Brown and her talking about guilt versus shame. So, guilt is I did something bad, shame is I am bad.
Mm.
And I guess the feeling itself feels so heavy and so distressing and so uncomfortable that nobody wants to talk about it or
Mhm.
celebrate it, as you're saying. But I think, and what I talk about most with shame is this need for self compassion and reassurance and, um, you know, how can
Look
we,
at me.
how can we give ourselves more compassion when we're feeling shame? Because the thing that is bringing us shame has been created by society or by
Yeah.
someone. It's not inherently bad.
I liked that difference you made about between guilt and shame.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Of guilt, I did something that I feel bad
That's
about,
wrong, yeah.
yeah, or that was wrong. Because I do think, and this is something I struggle with in multiple topics, is like I want to take responsibility of things that I don't have responsibility over, or I can't take responsibility of, right? And so if I'm feeling bad about it, I do think there's a blurry line there between guilt and shame for me. I can feel bad about something that I'm just existing and like I didn't do anything to invite these things in, right? And so I have to like my thought is like I need to detach, remember my value is this and I don't have to bring it in so interior to me. Um but those are very blurry lines
Mhm.
for me that I end up feeling somewhat somehow I've invited it on myself. Um and and again, when I think about it, I'm existing, right? And even if I'm having open public conversations and people will say, well, if you're going public, then you just got to deal with it. And like to a certain extent, yes, because freedom of speech and I can't shut you down. Like to a certain extent, yes, I do have to deal with it, but I don't have to take it on as my burden to bear,
Mm,
but it's hard not to.
I think it's just really hard. It's really hard, Allie. It's okay. It's really hard to exist in a body that is under attack in so many ways. And that is in ways of, I'm going to use us at the one of the events we went to,
Mhm.
right? We went to an event and the mac and cheese was so good. And I'm literally sitting there. I thought there was going to be more food. I was hungry. I'm sitting there shoveling this mac and cheese into my mouth.
And by shoveling, like a little,
Okay, yeah, I'm
because
not
the people out there,
I'm not
it was a
like
Dixie cup of mac and cheese, folks.
it was a Dixie cup with the tiny spoon. So,
Oh my
okay,
gosh.
fine. I was eating the mac and cheese and a woman didn't speak to her at all, came over and goes, "Isn't the mac and cheese so good? I gotta work. I have to run up and down these stairs all night long to deserve that mac and cheese,
Yeah.
to earn that mac and cheese," I believe was the correct word. That sends a message, right?
100%.
It's the same message as someone in a smaller body using the word fat to describe themselves. You
Mm.
know, like I think it's just I think when you are super aware of your body image and when you're doing the work or really insecure, I think if you're just focusing on body image in any shape or form, you pick up on the microaggressions, you know?
Mhm.
So I think
Yeah.
that's where the work becomes really hard is how am I working towards finding peace in a body that people tell me I'm not worthy of existing in?
Yeah. And people can say all day that that's someone else's insecurity and it's not about, but it is a microaggression. And people need to be aware of what they say and how they say it and who they say it to. Because when you purposely come up to fat girls and you make a moralizing food comment,
Yeah.
we're going to receive it, especially if you're a thin-bodied person coming up to us and trying to relate to us through that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you're saying to us is that, yeah, it's good, but make sure we're earning it, you know? That is a microaggression and it made us uncomfortable, right? Like
I
Of course.
we felt like, "Ooh, clocked, time to go," right?
we did leave.
And so it's not welcoming language.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that can go back to my logical side and say, man, women, we've really been taught to relate to each other through diet culture.
Mm,
You know, I can back away from thinking this woman has bad thoughts of us as fat people. I don't think she has bad thoughts of us as fat people. I think she was kind in her tone. I think she thought that was the way to relate to us. And it asks us to co-sign a message. And I do think as fat women, we get that all the time. I mean, I think I've already shared it on the pod, but I was at a birthday party and talking to a mom who I hadn't talked to, and she's talking about how she just wishes she was young and could eat that cupcake and not gain any weight from it like she does now. It happens to me all the time, and especially from thin women. So I can't pretend that people don't see my body and think they're going to relate to me through talking about dieting and weight management.
Mm.
They're going to see my body and think that's open for discussion. And when we already are a little bit going into social situations almost primed to have to deal with it, we're starting from a very anxious place,
Mm.
and I'm an anxious person, so I'm ready.
no.
Who would have thought? So I'm having to be prepared for that
Mm.
all the time.
Yeah.
Well, there's something else that you said too, that like, um, sorry, I'm trying to get it together over here, but like,
Don't apologize.
I'm usually the one that says that. um, it it has been a hard week for me. I am getting attacked daily, and something along the lines of what Rebecca said. It's like we're putting ourselves out there, right, to show people that there's a different way, right?
Mm.
To show people that like you don't have to hate yourself, that you can live your life, that you don't have to apologize for the amount of space that you take up, whatever, right? The message that we put out there. And there's these people out there that literally are like, well, you put it out there, so you're asking for it. You're asking for it. You're asking to be bullied. No, I'm not. I'm not. And then, but if you say anything, if you dare say anything about being bullied, about being attacked, about if you stand up for yourself at all, oh, you're just an angry fat girl.
Mm.
You come off too strong. Well, that's like your whole identity. So shouldn't you be fine with it? You're asking for it. It's not the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. You can call me fat all you want. I don't give a shit. Call me fat. It's fine. I call myself fat, right? But telling me that I don't deserve to be here, showing up on my Facebook timeline after 20 years of not speaking to me and telling me, "Oh, you look great, but you're going to die before you hit 50," and then calling it concern, and me telling you that you're a dick for it, but I'm the bitch. I have a problem with that. I have a big fucking problem with that. That is gaslighting so hard. And I have this rage this week that is turning into tears right now. And I don't love that for me, but I have this rage right now that is just like, it's the injustice of it. It's the
Mhm.
injustice of like, no, we're not asking for it. We're not asking for it. And just because we don't want to take your shitty words doesn't make us bad people. It doesn't make us bad people. It doesn't make us weak. It doesn't make us anything other than like
Not your doormat.
not your doormat. I'm not here for whatever issues you need to work out within yourself.
Mhm.
And so, it sounds like you need to go to therapy and get off my fucking page. Like, number one, but number two, just because I'm here and I have a message for people like me, this is not your playground to just unload your trauma. And I don't know where all that was going other than it's just like,
I do.
thank you.
I
I
know where it's
can't.
going. And I think it's with all of this, right? How do you do the work? How do you continue to show up for yourself?
That was
Like,
my
Right.
first thought, is like, it's not just even how you feel about it, it's then receiving how others are
Receiving.
constantly giving you messages
well,
about your own body.
100%. And I think it's eventually doing the work where you can stand in it regardless of what's happening, right? Because we can't control what's around us. But I mean, where do you even start?
Right. And as y'all were talking about it, I was thinking about that initial question too, like, why is it so crucial? And part of that is like the education of like even talking about this right now, like how hard this is. And, other people can learn from these experiences. We can't control if people are going to receive it. And that sucks because we want everyone to be like, open your eyes. Like, this is not okay. It's not acceptable. And we can't control other people. So it is more about like, okay, can I do like what kind of advocacy can I do to educate people about this? And how can I build up tolerance to the shit that's given to me,
The shit.
which sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do think that's something we're actively gonna have to think
Yeah.
about, because none of us want to stop, right?
Mm-mm.
No.
None of us want to stop, and all of us find it important. And
Mhm.
honestly, I think we have bigger dreams than this, right? And so
Mhm.
if we want to see those through, it's how do we take care of ourselves as we do it?
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know the answer. I don't even know if
Well,
Allison's gonna
no,
know the
you
answer.
can't solve our life dilemmas today, unfortunately. I wish I could just pick it up like a little lunchable.
In 1 hour.
Let's go.
Neatly sorted.
You're a therapist. Solve all of our problems.
You have about 30 minutes left.
Yeah, and then the
Let's go.
therapist
Oh,
is like,
no.
"Oh, congratulations! This is where you learn you get to solve your own problems.
Yeah.
I'm just here to help."
Right.
You're
Yeah.
like,
Just
that is
guiding.
not what I paid for, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I think we've hit, honestly, the topics we want to talk to you about before.
Yeah.
So one of the things we really wanted to do with you, Allison, is have you do a little bit of body image therapy with us, because a lot of people don't know what it looks like. I definitely have never looked at it. They did get me to go to a therapist, so I'm experiencing talk therapy for the first time, and
Woohoo!
I'm enjoying it a lot.
Good.
I told them that, like, they're criers. I have yet to cry, but
I wasn't always a crier.
I have wanted to throw up already, like,
Yeah.
but I'm enjoying having a space to talk about it, and I think a lot of our viewers are interested in getting to have these conversations. They don't always have friends in their lives they can do it with.
Yeah.
Therapy's an option. So we're very excited to kind of experience what you do professionally with us.
Right.
All right.
Welcome to Body Image Group.
Oh,
So, my first thought was kind of breaking down what body image is.
Mm.
And I think typically in body image groups, we talk about like a specific topic within body image. And I thought this was a good one just because it's the broad spectrum of what body image is. So, there's 4 aspects of body image. That's perceptual, affective, cognitive, and behavioral. You might remember this.
I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like
No.
I keep going.
Okay. So, perceptual is how you see your body. This is not always accurate. Think about body dysmorphia.
Mm.
Affective is how you feel about your body. So, satisfaction or dissatisfaction about your body. Cognitive is how you think about your body. So, that can lead to like preoccupation with shape and weight. And then behavioral. So, behaviors you engage in as a result of your body image. That can be a number of things: isolating, body checking, restriction, binging, purging, compensation behaviors, all the things. and destructive behaviors, something I wrote down. So, within those 4 aspects, you really have 4 different ways you're viewing your body. So, all of the aspects and how do I work on each one? Cuz I think that almost helps and like let me make this a little bit more manageable of how to address these things. So, my question for everybody is how do you focus on improving the relationship with your body through each of these aspects?
Mm.
And anything that comes to mind. So how you see it, how you feel it about it, how you think about it, and behaviors you engage in.
I'm a big fan of being naked. I think that
Oh,
that's like a number Alyssa. I I think that a lot of like that was one of the earliest things that I feel like I did like in my body image work, not even realizing it was body image work at the
Yeah.
time. I just started being naked all the time. And I really felt like it was so foreign to me. It was so foreign to me because I spent so much time trying to cover myself up,
Mm,
trying to hide myself, not just from the world, but from myself. Like there was a time, like during COVID, I I gained a lot of weight during COVID, and I mean I've always been a big girl, but I gained a lot of weight during COVID, and there was a time during COVID that like literally I would dart. Like this was the only cardio I did during COVID. I would dart from like my room to my shower. I would not look in the mirror
mm,
at all. I would not look at myself. And so to go from that to being naked all the time and like actually looking at myself and just seeing like it's just a body,
mhm.
right? And like that I felt like did a lot for me. A lot.
I don't know if this is necessarily cognitive, how I see my body
Yeah.
versus behavioral. To me, like, it kind of goes both ways. I do film myself a lot because I do a lot of fashion videos on Instagram and
Mhm.
YouTube, and so I'm trying on lots of different styles at a lot of different retailers, and there is something helpful to me to see my body from a camera perspective and, like, to see myself sitting, to see myself moving. Before, I only saw my body from, like, the upwards my space angle, and so photographing myself and looking at footage of myself has just made my body very normal to me. Like, I know what I look like.
Yeah.
I know what I look like from every angle.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I necessarily feel satisfaction with everything I see, but I know what it looks like and I'm not detached from what I look like. I'm
Right.
not surprised by what I look like in photos. And that has been a very helpful practice for me.
Sure.
In terms of behavioral, I do put a lot of time into how I dress. And like
Mhm.
I like to present myself in very specific ways. Like I'm not going out of the house looking like I don't wanna be seen by someone, so I do think that's a way that I feel confident,
Mhm.
but I do feel the need to look, quote, unquote, "put together"
Yeah.
to then be able to be in the public, and that is something that gives me confidence, but also I recognize can also limit me.
Mhm.
Oh, I do that too. I never thought about that.
I'm 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 actively avoiding mirrors because
Mhm.
I know I do not see myself the way I actually am.
Right.
And I don't know what it is about a mirror that's different than a photograph. Um, but
Mm.
getting into the shower, like, nope, like will not look at the mirror. And it's truly because the body dysmorphia part, I don't know what it is versus looking at a photo. I'm like, no, like that's what I look like. So photos
Mm.
have helped me check the body dysmorphia, but if I catch myself or a glance, I know I'm not really seeing what I look like. And those thoughts are really aggressive. Like, I have absolutely had full conversations with myself, and I am the person who, like, has ordered clothing 3 sizes too big, being like, "What was I doing?" Like, I know, we've literally went shopping, and I'm grabbing a big size, and they're like, "You don't wear that size." I'm like, "No, I do." Like, look at, like I
Mhm.
think that's the part, right, where you're like, how do you perceive yourself versus, like, what
Yeah.
is actually there?
Right.
I am often needing to not listen to what I think about
Mm.
my body. And I think that's been hard in building trust.
Yeah, because you can't even trust what your eyes are seeing.
Yeah, I do not
Yeah.
trust what my eyes are seeing.
I mean, I I don't relate in the sense that I've never experienced that. But my thought thinks, "Wow, that would be incredibly hard." Like, I think that would be a a disconnection that I would struggle to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
We walked in this room and I saw these 2 chairs with the arms and I said, I can't fit in those. And I
oh,
know that's not true. I
right?
Yeah.
factually know that that is not true.
Yeah.
First thought though was I don't fit there.
Mm.
I know.
Yeah, so you have a lot of thoughts that you're then having to be like you're having to think it, and then you're having to manage your thoughts
Well,
and
right.
try to,
Fact
like
check.
yeah, you're trying to, like, check
Yeah.
yourself constantly.
Right, which
Mhm.
sometimes makes the outside noises hard too, right? Like if
Mhm.
you're hearing a lot of one thing, then I'm like, "Oh my god, where is the actual truth lie?"
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I do see body dysmorphia, of course, making this work so much harder
Yeah.
because we have that disconnect, like you called it, and we can't trust what's
Mhm.
happening in the mirror. So then what?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Then how am I supposed to feel about it if I don't even know how I look?
Yeah. Well, and it's what's crazy too is like not even knowing you have body dysmorphia, right? Like then we really start
Yeah.
getting into it
Yeah.
because then you just don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you said really stood out to me because, like, I think about, like, I won't even. Now, it used to be a lot worse. Like, it used to be when I was younger, like, I wouldn't leave the house without makeup on, right? It's not like that anymore, but, like, I won't go to the grocery store in a mismatched outfit.
I will.
Like, that's, like, I'm not judging people who
Yeah.
do that, but, like, I
It makes you
can't,
uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable.
right? I feel like I have to present myself in a certain way because I think I do internally judge. Like, I can't look like a frumpy fat girl. I have to be
Mm,
a put together fat girl.
a
You
pretty
said
fat girl.
yeah, you said the word
Right.
compensating earlier, and I think that's
Yeah.
probably more so where I'm
Mm,
at a lot. I think I do a lot of compensating behaviors
mm,
to either feel like people are going to give me less shit if I show up looking put together. And listen, sometimes people have told me I'm a little bit intimidating when they first meet me, and I don't like that because then I feel cold, and that's not a value I want to have. At the same time, I do think it's a little bit like I do it so people don't give me shit. Like
It's a
it is
protective,
protective.
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm like,
mechanism.
listen,
Yeah.
I'm gonna show up and like I'm probably not the person you're gonna bother,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna show up on the People of Walmart website. But like that was a big fear of mine.
That's
Like I
exactly
have
it.
to
Yeah.
because I'm already might get noticed. I'm going to do XYZ because then I fit in more and or I at least I mean, it feels like it's so rooted in like classism and all that stuff, right? Like they're going to perceive me of a class. They're not going to take pictures of me and put me up on some website. It's very classist. It's very rooted in that stuff. And yet it absolutely is something I do to protect myself.
Well, I also think it's not playing into stereotypes that come along with
Yeah.
fat
Yeah.
bodies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
fat, you're lazy, like
And
you don't
listen,
want
the
to
People of
look
Walmart
like
is a
you've
lot
been.
of fat people when there's people dressing like that everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god, I
Yeah.
hope that website shut down now. I haven't looked at it in a decade,
I
but
don't know
like I
that it
hope
is,
it's
but like
gone.
that was literally my thought. My literal thought, like while you're saying all of that, is like, yeah, people of Walmart. Like, I don't want to be photographed like people of Walmart, And it's like it's so sad that that's the notion. It's like because I have no judgment towards the quote unquote frumpy fat girl, right? It's for myself. I am terrified
Yeah.
of someone perceiving me, right? And but then I say that out loud, and I'm like, fuck, I hate the way that sounds.
But I think that comes up a lot in body image work,
So much.
at least from what I remember sitting through at Renfrew. It was a lot of people in smaller bodies saying, no, 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 like I perceive my body that way, but I'm not actively looking at your body that way.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I kind of get that. And also, right, like two things can be true at the same time. I believe that in their brain, they truly hate their body
Yeah.
and their body is the problem and they're not looking at others because I was also doing that on a fat person level, right? Like, no, I mean, we all know my love for Lizzo. And I'm like, if I could just look like Lizzo, well, Lizzo's also a big girl, you know? So I do think there's a little bit of that comes into play of like you really do get it for yourself and also not understanding it for other people.
Sure, totally.
Yeah.
And I that is something I talk about every single day is, for me, I can't apply that to myself. For everyone else, of course. Like, of
Yeah.
course you deserve to eat. Of course you deserve to show up and take space. I don't believe that for me. And we're like, why? But I remember something that you said. It was kind of like
Please.
tough love to everyone and to yourself.
Oh.
And you said, what makes you so special?
Oh, yeah, I did say this to myself because I would always say like, no, that I believe that is true. Like I believe it is true that everyone deserves to eat, but I don't believe that for myself. So then I would have to be like, but Alyssa, you're not special. You're part of everyone. Like I would honestly bully myself into being like, you're not special.
And I
Like,
think about that all the time
well,
too. I'm
because
like, Alyssa said.
what a crazy way of thinking about it. You know, I had to like be like, everyone deserves this, but I don't consider myself everyone, but I'm not special, so I am.
It's almost like if I can get it to a negative space of viewing myself, I can put myself with everyone.
No,
If it can be through a
Yeah.
self-deprecating way of thinking about myself,
Yeah.
I'm allowed to be with everybody.
That's a
Girl,
whole
But
nother
I
thing.
think,
You
but
found a loophole.
but in
I
that
did.
way, you did kind of realize that you are when you say everyone deserves in that way,
I
you
am part of
you're
everyone.
everyone.
Yeah.
And I every time I hear like, "Oh, I'm not special," I think of that fucking line from The Incredibles. It's like, if everyone's special, no one will be. It's
Yeah.
like,
Ugh.
exactly.
Yeah.
If everyone is special, no one will be. If everyone deserves to eat, but not me, but wait, I'm not any different than everyone. I also deserve to eat.
I am still very much in that spot in the work. I will not
know.
I will not
Oh
say
no, I know you are.
I still will not make strong I statements,
Cool.
but
So I
I
just need to
will
text you and be like, "Hey, Alyssa, you're not special."
I'll be like, no, you're so right. I'm definitely not. I'll be like, that is correct.
You're like, "Hey, did you have breakfast today?" Well, hey, you're not special, Alyssa. Eat some fucking cereal.
Period.
Oh,
Sometimes you
man.
do just need to tell me to eat the fucking cereal. So
All right.
true.
Well, now I have some new weapons in my
Yep.
arsenal.
Totally.
I'll let y'all battle that out.
I'm not looking for ways to bully you, Alyssa. I love
I
you.
know I do it enough myself.
I know you do.
Everyone in this room knows that.
I know you do.
Yeah.
I know. We all do it in some way or another. I do it by opening up the internet.
You do.
Other thing I really wanted to talk about was I feel like we kind of touched on this already was how has the relationship with your body shown up as a barrier to enjoyability? And I feel like I've heard some answers to that. But also on the flip side of that too, have there been moments where you find enjoyability with your body and being present and how to almost use that time as, and I'm going to use another quote from a TED talk we watched, a courage reference. So how are we, are there times that we have shown up and been very present with our bodies and really enjoyed it? And how can we use that in moments where we're using it as a barrier?
I don't know. But what I do know, I used to share a lot about feeling really disconnected, even in connections that were strong. Feeling really disconnected in connections. And I do think the more I am vocal about being aware of how I show up physically, the more comfortable I am and grounded I am in connections. Does that make sense? I feel like the more I continue to advocate for the space in which I am physically taking up, and the more I show people that I am comfortable, the more connected I have felt with people. And I feel like it is because of the way they are receiving that.
So, like, the more that you advocate for the fat community, the more that you feel you're advocating for yourself.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. And I think not I think that is why this work has been important, because I think it's the only way I've actually been able to continue in recovery, like past a certain point, right? I think it was like I can't do this work without the space. So I need to figure out how to create the space in order to do the work. And I have definitely felt a difference in the way I'm connecting with people. So I'm sure they've noticed a difference in the way I show up, right?
Yeah.
Cause and effect. But that is what that question made me think of.
Well, I don't know that this is where you're going, but one of the things that you've mentioned to us, of course, I've met you, and this is where like,
In this space.
yeah, I met you in the space where you started creating it right away, right? But one of the things that has made me think about is the fact that your house is our gathering space often for us three, right? And that you hadn't had a lot of people over in a while, and like you liked that we were in your space and that you were creating a space where we could do this work, and I think that's also letting people in and making a space for yourself at your home for you and your friends to come and do this work together, and it reveals a lot about you when you have people in your home and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So I don't know that that is necessarily where your brain was going, but it was something I was thinking about, the change that you've made a little bit about having people in your home and it being a space where
Yeah,
you
like
do this
people
work.
in my physical space.
Yes,
Yeah.
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 I just love that it's like showing up for you like that. That like in in creating safe and brave spaces for others, you're starting to feel safer and braver.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I haven't decided how I feel about it yet.
Well, I mean, it
Well,
very
I love
much it very much fits the
it.
everyone before me
Yes.
Yeah.
way of thinking that you're
Yes.
already kind of at, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I can do this for everyone, and I probably will benefit at some point from it, but it's not about me, it's about everyone. And
Like,
if as long as I
everyone
focus on
deserves
everyone
it.
else and as long as I'm making it for them.
Yeah. Well, listen, this is going to get a little raw and deep, but like if I'm being so frank, I think if there was someone creating this space way before me, I would not have ended up where I was. And I was in like a really, I just don't think it ever needed to be that.
That's so true.
Right? Like I just think while my experience was unique because of my size, I do think we are talking about things that are universal. And I also think that there are choices actively being made every day for this structure. And I just don't think it has to be this. I would much prefer our podcast was not successful because no one could relate, right? But like
I
it's
understand
just
that.
so universal, you know?
It is. And I think the very sad universal thing that is very hard to say is that there are a lot of us that have spent countless hours thinking that they'd be better off dead than fat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a very sad truth. It's a very sad truth that so many of us have felt that way. And it is the work that we're doing, that you're doing, that we're all doing, that the fat community that has come together, that the rest of the internet seems, not the rest of the internet, that mediocre men on the internet seem to think is just, we're the new witches. We're the new witches of Salem. Burn them because
Yeah.
we're just, we're enemy number one. But it's just, I I love everything that you're saying because it's like, we will continue. I will continue. You will continue. You will continue. You will continue because we don't ever want there to be another fat person who thinks they're better off dead than fat.
If we even take it back to the first question of our little group session, which is what compensation, right, that we've made because of our body. And I just think there is some sort of universal connection with every single person. Forget about fat women, forget about women, just people in general. that have gone to extreme lengths to change their body,
Mhm.
whether that is pushing yourself past capacity at the gym,
Yeah.
right? Pushing yourself so you don't have recovery days. So you're just going to the gym all of the time, changing what you eat, right? And living in a really regimented diet. I think these are all ways that people make compensation for their bodies,
Right.
right? So when I think about being fat, we often talk about like it's about being fat and not performing health because people are okay with fat people as long as they're trying to not be
Yeah.
fat,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So then I think the part that really hits me is I don't want people out there living a life that is solely based around shrinking themselves because I do believe that is what I spent the first 20 years of my life doing,
Yeah.
Mhm.
was just trying to figure out a way to take up less space.
And I think when you talk about compensation too, I think of everything else I did, right? Outside of the 7 days a week that I went to the gym
The people
and
pleasing.
the My Fitness Pal and the
Right.
keto and the what the fuck ever else I tried, the shots and the 500 calories a day and everything that I tried, there was the yes girl. There was the I will do anything that you ask me to do. There was the dance monkey dance girl. I
Mhm.
will do I will perform. I will whatever you want me to do. I will mold
Earn.
myself. I will earn
Yeah.
your love. I will earn your love. I will earn the attention. And again, I think that's something that's universal too. It's not just fat people, right? But it's this notion that if I am not a fucking Victoria's Secret model, then I have to compensate. I have to compensate. So I have to be the best at my job. I have to be the best student. I have to be the
Mm.
best daughter. I have to be the best this. I have to be the best that. I have to compensate for what society says I don't have, for what society has deemed my lack of currency in this world. And I'm fucking exhausted.
Yeah.
And
And
I don't do it
that's
anymore.
yeah, and that's I think just the broader frustration of why and who decided that that was the most important thing to focus on in our world. We all have a body. Our body is our vessel that takes us places and lets us do all the things and experience life. And why was that created?
Yeah, and that's what I think whenever Alyssa was talking, I was like, because like fat activism has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Mm.
Gender, like there have been people working on this and working on this and
Mhm.
working on this probably throughout all of time, right? And even if we just look at the last 100 years, a lot of different movements to move towards body liberation, whether it's fatness or through the race perspective or whatever that might be, women's rights. Um, and yet, all those conversations are happening. They still might not touch you
Yeah.
as an individual being raised in a certain
Yeah.
place, or you still not might not ever hear about an alternative. Or just the messages are so loud because you're a bigger person that you're only getting this one view of what you need to do because again it's thought of as a problem to be solved by
Mm.
so many, and it gets brought up in the doctor's office. You're probably getting your parents getting told this at elementary, PE gym teacher. It's getting referenced so much because there are these guidelines that are so embedded in institutions that even if you're lucky enough to hear an alternative, you're still going to be pushed up against these other
Yeah.
guidelines over and over and over again. And so I guess I just feel the need to say, like, this work isn't new. This work has been happening, and yet it's still new to some people. Some people still have never heard it before. That they can have body liberation, that their body isn't a problem. And that to me is, I think, the sad part is that it's such a non-mainstream idea, or even the idea of positive body image isn't as mainstream,
Mhm.
that people just might not come across it. Or they might think of it as just woo woo, I need to go take a bath and self care versus like actually what does it mean to be connected to your body? Um, and I don't know how to make that bridge. It seems like it takes generations
Yeah.
to make a shift and making something a more mainstream conversation. besides doing my part.
I think one of the things that I keep thinking about is so random. I keep thinking about Hillary Duff.
Love her.
I
Interesting.
know. It was sometime in the last year that Hillary Duff did a nude shoot. She looked fucking incredible. She looked absolutely amazing. And the headline that somebody fucking attached to this goddamn shoot was Hillary Duff still looking amazing at 34. At 34. At 30 fucking 4. You're 36, I'm 35, all right? So apparently we're over the hill, all right?
I told you, I already aged out of the singles group in
we are
Charlotte.
expired, okay?
We are.
Still looking
We are.
amazing at 34. That's the thing, is that nobody escapes this. Nobody escapes this, right? Nobody escapes this. The problem is that as mainstream as we wish this was, it's going to continue being more mainstream to try and sell us what's wrong with us. Right? It's
Yeah.
always going to be more mainstream to try and sell you to get rid of your wrinkles, to get rid of your fat rolls, to get rid of this, to get rid of that, to get rid of that, to not show
Mm.
that the natural signs of life are happening. And it's like, why are we so obsessed with this? Oh, yeah, because it's on every goddamn commercial, every ad. You can't scroll Facebook, you can't scroll Instagram without getting a targeted something that tells you that you're not good enough for this world, right? I'm literally like, I watch TV with my mom sometimes, and every other fucking commercial is about a weight loss. Like
Yeah. Oh.
every other commercial. And I just want to know, first of all, like, our healthcare system is so goddamn stupid in this country. Why is every other commercial for a fucking prescription pill that we have no control over? What am I supposed to do? Just go to my doctor and say, "Hey, I saw a really cool commercial for
Yeah.
this pill.
Yeah,
Are
that
you
is
gonna?"
what you were supposed to do, literally.
Oh, well,
No, I know.
I was unaware of that. But
I
anyway,
have not done that.
I
I've
just
never
like
been like, "Hey doc, I saw this commercial and I really
I
think it's
saw
a
a
catchy
commercial."
song."
And then
it's
like your insurance doesn't cover it. It'll be $1,000
exactly.
a
That's what
month.
I'm saying. Like
Literally.
they're literally gonna be like, "Cool." That's not how this works, you know? And like, have you tried losing weight? Calories in, calories out. Eat less, run more, bitch. Like seriously, it's like it will never be mainstream because they will just find more and more ways to sell you on something is wrong with you. So buy this product. And that's where I know that this is just, it's gonna continue to be so hard. And we have to continue doing it because we're actively fighting against a system that wants to sell us a, a- like an antidote to science. I hate it here.
I think and my therapizing of you is that it is gonna be hard for you to find peace
Yeah.
because you're so angry at the system. The system is an injustice to you. It's an injustice you're not gonna see the justice from, right? Like in our lifetimes, we're not gonna see that system. We are too much in, I can say it, capitalistic society that sells beauty, that sells things that aren't attainable, all because there's always gonna be a market for it, right? You're never gonna see the justice play out there. And I know it's gonna be hard for you to make peace with, right? And so then it's like, oh, if I can't find peace and justice, what can I find peace in? Because your first question that we kind of went off of, but that's totally okay, was like, when do we feel good in our bodies? And my first thought was the last time I can remember feeling connected and like remembering the sensations of my body was
Mm.
when I was at the beach and I was laying on the sand by myself. I had been there with family, like they had left me for a while. And I was very in tune with hearing the ocean and feeling the breeze on me. And I was just laying flip flopping however I wanted to and had the sun on me. And it was probably the first moment in a long time that I was just been like I just breathed out.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed getting all the senses of being in that space. I don't get very many moments to just be like,
Here I am.
and it's just, I can enjoy it. And believe me, I'm not a nature girly, so it's not like nature was the reason I was feeling it, But it was the silence, it was me being alone, it was that I was doing something I enjoyed, and I wasn't consumed by the thought of what I looked like. I think every time I go to a public space like a beach, I'm so happy that there's so much body diversity. Like it makes me feel, I feel good, and I'm just like so happy I see so much diversity in the bodies around me, and so I just felt good and connected. That was in May. It's been a couple months. I don't know that I've felt it since, and I don't know how to take that feeling and apply it to situations where I'm not feeling it. Yeah. But I do think those moments are really rare. They're rare for me to feel so in tuned. I think in general I feel okay, but I also feel not fully present in it. Like I'm not fully present in my body right now. I'm,
Oh,
I'm
girl,
present
you
in the
don't gotta tell me.
conversation. I'm present in the conversation, but not in my embodied experience. And so there's very few moments where I do feel like, oh, I'm experiencing my body in a pleasurable way. It's not sex. It's not XYZ,
And
right?
I was like, I'm
As
like,
soon
well,
as
would
I
I
said
DJ?
pleasurable, I know. As soon as I said pleasurable, I was like, Allie's already. I'm not just
Yeah,
kidding.
Allie's already there.
But
Yeah.
like, just actually enjoying the physicality of being alive.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen often.
I think that takes a lot of practice and just like intentionality behind being mindful and present. And how can I do it in a way, going back to like neutrality, how can I do that in a way that it is what it is, and here I am being, and here's what I'm noticing. And it takes practice because you're used to not doing that. You're used to, I'm way over here and my body's here.
Yeah.
Or I'm a floating head.
Well, yeah, like even
That-
today I was having I was about to have an anxiety attack. And I think it was because I was listening to a book that had really toxic male characters. And then I was in traffic and I literally was starting to cuss out everyone around me. And I got to where I was at and I was like, I am like I'm breathing really shallow breaths. I said breaths. My shoulders are tense. And I was like, Allie, don't talk to me for a little bit. I'm about to have a panic attack because she was supposed to meet me somewhere. And I really had to talk myself through it because I didn't have my emergency anxiety meds. Otherwise, I would have popped a sucker and kept on moving.
No, but you did the work and you
I
brought
did.
yourself down.
But like I realized in that moment, oh my gosh, my body is a big factor in how I'm feeling right now. And like I had to literally, I probably scared a guy coming out because I was literally like this, like trying to ease,
Hunched over.
trying to
the
ease this.
muscle.
And I was like, wow, like I know my anxiety, I always say my anxiety shuts my body, but wow, that was the first time I took my body and really tried to make the muscles relax.
Wow, good for you.
I was proud of myself. I told Allie I was proud of myself afterwards. But yeah, I mean, I do think I often don't think about my body. I often go straight to my mind. I need to do my mind. I need to do my mind. I need to pop a medicine. I need to do XYZ. I need to do my body too.
Right.
In time.
Listen, none of us are perfect at it.
Yeah.
I had one moment I could be like, go girl.
I actively am still avoiding physical sensations. Because I don't like bringing attention to my body. But we're working on it. We're working on it.
You need to come to the pool more.
I do love being in the water.
I do too.
I do love swimming. I feel really good when I'm doing that.
Are we going to the pool tomorrow?
I want to go to the pool.
We're going to the pool tomorrow.
I invited myself over for the pool, to be quite frank.
No, we need to. I went to the pool a lot last week. If you can't tell, I had my stomach covered and not so. There's a nice
Yeah.
It's so white right there. I was at the pool a lot last week, and there was a moment where my mom had gotten this new pool float, but she didn't like it, so she gave it to me, and I was like laid out on it, and like the only thing that was like above the water were like my boobs and my thighs, and like everything else was under the water. So like my ears were under the water, but like my face was above, and so like it was very much like I guess like sensory whatever. And I did feel very, like,
Connected.
connected because it was like I could feel the sun on my legs. I could feel the way that the water felt on my so I'm, like, listening. I'm like, "We just all need to go to the pool. We all need to go to the pool. Let's all leave here right now and go to the pool. Fuck all of this, and let's go to the pool." Yeah, I don't know where else I was going with that, but this has been a very hard week, and, this has been a very good conversation. I I think I'm still very much trying to do some work on Little Allie. And um
Giving her what she needs.
giving her what she needs, making sure she knows that she's not a bad person. Um for taking up space and being herself and all these things, and because it is hard. It's hard when you're just trying it's hard when you're actively trying to make the world a better place and you have people every single day telling you that you're a bad person. Because I do wind up feeling like a bad person. And it's hard. It's hard, and I don't know why, but I'm internalizing something so hard this week because that the person that popped up and told me I was gonna die, like, felt the need to, like, just double down. And this was actually my very first boyfriend in 6th grade, who literally I haven't spoken to since middle school, who, like, showed up out of nowhere. And when I tried to educate him on why he shouldn't say these things to people on the internet, I turned into the villain, of course. Uh, and then he felt the need to say, "Well, I have to confess, I was attracted to your personality in middle school." So, like, literally had to go all the way back to 6th grade Allie and be like, "You were ugly, but you had a great personality." And I'm like, "You fucking you can say anything you want to me, but 6th grade Allie?
Yeah.
6th grade Allie? She was great. She had fucked up teeth, but she was great. She was great."
All of Allie's teefies are fine always.
Yes,
Yeah.
Oh no, girl, you didn't see them. My canines, they started coming up here.
That's mine were too. That's okay.
They were real bad.
We were rocking it.
They were real bad. But then they gave me braces, and so the braces went up here on these two, and it was bad. It was not great. But she was pretty, all right, in her own way. But she was great. And for this motherfucker to just be like, "All right, bet. Well, you were ugly in 6th grade." What? Why? Why are people like this?
Yeah.
Why are people like
I
this? Like,
think it's
"Oh, you feel good about yourself? Well, you were ugly in 6th grade."
Mhm.
you are really
I need to
This is Allie gets a message from this stuff, but she fixates on it. And
it's the
she knows this, but like I would block him in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay?
I
I would
have
block
borderline
and
personality disorder. You know anything about it?
do.
I have a real issue with justice.
Mhm.
Like, if no justice is served, I can't stop.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "You haven't learned a lesson from this.
And you must.
You must."
Yeah.
but I do think it makes the body image work hard
Yeah.
because like I said, you're not going to get justice.
I'm not gonna
You're
get
going to have to settle for
justice.
some other outcome. You know, like what other outcome can feel good when justice isn't going to be the thing we're going to get?
How can they both exist?
Yeah,
As two
I mean, I
things
think I struggle with
exist?
that too. I'm like, how
Yeah.
can I recognize what I don't? This is completely separate, but how can I recognize what I don't have responsibility with, and still accept that the outcome came when it is because I want to control the outcome, so I want to accept responsibility for things I don't have responsibility in. I'm gonna have to be uncomfortable with that existing at the same time, you know. Um, but I do think, as much as we've gone off in like 8,000 different tangents on the show, hello, welcome to the Fab Fatties. Um, what this does show me, just again, and obviously I know this from lived experience, is just body image is connected to so much.
Yeah.
Body image is
So
connected to
much.
so much, and it makes me come back to Alyssa's question from earlier of like when body image therapy versus just more generalized therapy, and I do think I'm interested to see about this too because again I've started more generalized therapy is like I guess when body keeps coming up over and over again,
Yeah.
right? And when it seems to be a main topic within other stuff, and if that therapist doesn't know much about that area, then it might be time to look at someone who is more trained or more aware of conversations about bodies. I think what's scary to me, and obviously you got vetted through Alyssa's experience, is like, God, I can just imagine going to like I know that there's therapy from lots of different bases. There's religious therapy. There's all kinds of different therapists that come from different viewpoints. It would really scare me that I would end up in the wrong hands
Right.
with body image.
Right.
That's a great question though. Is like, is
Mhm.
there any like helpful resources, tips on how to find the right person for you to do the
Yeah.
work with?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is definitely doing the phone call with a therapist prior to being like, I'm going to schedule with you immediately because here's what you say you work on, or here's
Mhm.
what you say you do and your experience, and it might not be what you need.
Mhm.
So, doing that phone call and asking those right questions,
Mhm.
saying, these are the things that about my body that I want to work on, and here's how they're impacting my life. And if you don't have enough experience in that, please let me know. Like,
Mhm.
do me that favor and let me
Mhm.
know before I dive into this work, because creating a relationship with a therapist is already so hard. If
Mhm.
we're doing it with the wrong one, oh my gosh, then I have to go through somebody else and tell my story again, and that's not fair to you. So
Yeah.
really getting to know that therapist before you make that connection is important.
Yeah, I said this, I think, in our last episode, but I don't know because again, I'm very new to this. I feel like it's important that the person you go to speaks the same language as you in some kind of way.
Sure.
Like, they're not like, I would not do well in a therapy situation where it felt too clinical. I would not
Yeah.
do well in a situation where I feel like the person is trying to, like, "You said this, what is that about?" like,
Yeah.
I
Mm.
don't wanna feel like I'm being interrogated. I
Totally.
wanna feel like the person's asking, "Okay, I noticed you said that. What is" "Do you think this, that?" The tone matters to me, the approach matters to me, the language matters to me, and there's really no way to get a sense of that off of a website or anything.
Right.
Um, Although you can tell, I mean, sometimes websites do have personalities, and so you can absolutely look at some of that. Like, I've looked at bios and I could tell a difference there in just the way people talked about their experiences. But also, and I'm just learning this too, like, there's not just talk therapy. So, like, I think there's gonna
Mhm.
be some people like, okay, I know this is a huge barrier in my life. I don't even know where to start. And I don't know how it's affecting me. I just know it's everything, everything all at once.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think, like, one thing I had to reassure myself with, especially because I was going in this first time, and I like to know what I'm doing. A little control. Um, I don't, you're the one paid to help me. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, I
Yeah.
don't have to know where to start.
Yeah.
I don't have to know where to start. My job is to show up and be honest.
100%.
Yeah.
And so I don't have to know where to start. I just have to say, "Hey, I want some help." And then that person can guide me, and I can literally know nothing from there except for be honest about my experiences. And the honesty is only just gonna be you get more out of it, right? Like, if you're not honest, it takes you a little while to get there. I don't know. I'm sure that happens for some people. That's fine. Like, it might take a minute to feel like you can really tell someone what's happening, especially
Sure.
if you feel shame around some of your actions.
You have to feel
Yeah,
safe
and
in
that's
that
okay to get
relationship.
there. Like, you might not get there right away.
It's been a little emotional having Allison here, just because I was in such a different
Yeah.
place. Um, yeah, wow. Such a different place. Wow, the last time we saw each other.
I was crying.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really different, and I think I know I still have so much more work to do. I'm still actively doing a lot of it.
Yeah.
Um, but it is very impactful to have this conversation in a even, that much different of a place. So,
Yeah.
I thought I have a different journal entry. This is when I moved to the big notebook. I
Yeah.
said,
You're like,
"Oh,
"This little notebook's not gonna
this
do
little
it."
notebook, this little notebook ain't big enough for all of my thoughts and feelings." And um there's two things that really stuck out to me in this journal, and they were probably two of the most important activities we did in body image group. And
Cool.
um
Ready.
Allison's like, hell yeah.
Yay.
We made body image pledges, or like my body pledge.
Yeah.
Ugh. I'm not gonna share all of them because they are very, very personal. Um, but I will say one of my pledges on here is I pledge to give my body the things that it needs to do its work well. Plenty of water, ample movement, stretches, rest, good nutrition, and to limit or eliminate the things that do not nurture my body. Another one on here for my body pledge is to change my inner monologue to one of gratitude. Um, to no longer put off the things that I wish to experience because I'm waiting to do them in a different body. and I think I'll share those, and then, I can't find it right now, but I know it's in here. Oh, here it is. Haha.
Yay.
This was a pivotal moment for me, and it was body functionality. And I think
Yeah.
for anyone who's going to start doing this work on their own, I think this is such a tangible place to start. And it literally, some of these I won't be able to say with a straight face, but it literally says, my body can dot, dot, dot. My body can digest food. My body can walk. My body can heal when I'm sick. My body can experience pleasure. My body can help me connect with my loved ones through warm hugs. My body allows me to experience life. My body allows me to create art with my hands and fingers. Like, it is very, like, elementary of,
But
like,
it's amazing.
oh,
It's great.
they are facts.
Yeah.
And I think when you have so many negative thoughts and beliefs, there is no argument to stating what your body can do. It is a fact. Like, your body can digest food. Your body can, it's different for everyone because we all have different bodies, but
I was gonna say, and it makes me think like if your body can't, that's okay.
well, your body might be able to do something different.
Yeah.
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 Right? So, like, our facts are all true for
For us.
ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think what was so impactful about this one was it broke through the noise. So I was like, "Oh, like I can't argue with facts.
Yeah.
Like, the noise can't argue with facts." So,
And sometimes it's helpful because it's like we think very logically about trying to fix some of these challenges or things.
yeah.
And we can't fight emotion with logic.
Yeah.
But some of those things is very fact based and it helps for people's brains who like to process in a very like factual, logistical way.
100%. And
Yeah.
not to give away your lesson plans, but I did write on here. It was The Body Revolution We Need: Function Over Form by Tiffany Stewart on TED Talk is what we listened to
Cool.
before we did it. So,
I love your journal cover.
I was literally
I don't need you to hold it
about
up
to
to the
say there's
camera.
one more thing I want you to read from your journal, and it's the
Ah.
cover.
And I need you to show it to the camera.
Yeah.
yeah. Can you read it? Or do I have to?
I can read it.
Thank you.
There's so much to look forward to.
Yeah.
And I love that you had that there for you then. But
Yeah.
it's now too, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's for anyone doing that work. And I think I hate to bring it back to that guy because that guy was just stupid. Okay, I'm sorry.
I know.
But when the logic we get served is an expiration date on our bodies,
Mm.
right? The argument is we don't have things to look forward to. At the same time, we walk and we do something new every day and we know it's not true,
Yeah.
you know? And we go on and we do something else that makes our lives worthwhile every single day and we know that it's true. And our bodies carry us through that thing and no one gets to say when it's done.
Yeah.
None of us know. And there's so much to look forward to in whatever time we have. Because again, no one knows.
Yeah.
Nobody. A thin person doesn't get to know. A fat person doesn't get to know. A young person doesn't get to know. An old person doesn't get to know.
And also, if I don't make it to 50, it doesn't make me a bad person.
No. And it doesn't make your life not a good lived life.
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
It doesn't
gosh.
mean I failed at life.
You know what?
There are people who would have loved to make it to 50.
Yeah.
You know what? We've talked about this before, and this is what upsetting. We've both lost loved ones. Our friends at like 16 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is where those kind of comments, I just need to throw them in the trash. It is such short-sighted bullshit,
I know.
but it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. And I get that it hurts. And I get that as a fat person, it's a loaded comment.
It is loaded.
And yet, who does it serve? It didn't serve him. He got a tongue lashing like he's never received before.
Period. Allie went
know?
for him.
I even went
As
for
you
them.
should.
She did.
It, but it's the reality of what we face while also working on our own things. You
Yeah.
know, we live in a world where people think this is the case, and we have to live in that world and find our peace among it. You know,
Allison, thank you so much for coming
Thank
and
you.
being here.
How dare you make us feel emotional?
I
I
would
know. It's
love
like, it's my job.
Oh gosh. I would love for you to plug yourself
Yes,
and
please.
where people can find you and what you got going
Sure.
on. Anything you want to shout out.
Sure. I guess I've been in the outpatient world for a little bit now. For I guess 2 months, like we were talking about.
Yeah,
So
crazy. I feel like it's been longer and also
not
not
at
as
all.
long at the same time. Yeah.
But thankfully I am almost full. So that's really exciting. But you can find me on my Instagram. So
Okay, so
it
where can we
is
find you?
Allison, 2 L's, underscore stage therapy, PLLC.
Amazing.
That's
Love it.
it.
Amazing.
I'm
Amazing.
so proud of y'all and I feel so honored to be asked to be on this podcast.
Yeah.
It's been a really
Thank
cool
you so much for
experience.
being here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for being here and offering your thoughts and creating spaces with your questions with us.
Sure.
And we're thankful there are people like you doing this work out in the world.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
thank you. So that was my first ever body image session. And I will say, I feel like we talked about a lot of stuff besides our own body image. Like there was just so much connected to it that I didn't get necessarily
Well, I
to my
think
own.
that shows, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
How integrated it is to your life.
Mhm.
Like, look at all of the other things that came up because of the topic of body
Yeah.
image.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I know it's really ingrained. I know my body image is the reason I stopped actively being a participant in my life.
Yeah. I think what's hard for me sometimes is to understand where you're at versus where you present yourself because you don't lie about where you're at. But again, like I wouldn't guess that you don't look at yourself in a mirror and that that's a
Mm.
completely different experience for you than taking a picture. Because when I'm hanging out, we're taking pictures like cute, cute, you know.
Oh,
So
for
it's
sure.
hard for me sometimes to realize like that you do experience those things in front of the mirror, and then okay, like noted, we have different experiences, right?
Yeah.
And I do think that is helpful of a group session is I think sometimes we can tell ourselves we're the only one, but also that our experience is everyone else's experience. So like sometimes we are special and sometimes we're
Yeah.
not. I think it's both, right? Like sometimes this thing about us is unique and it might other people might not experience it and they might need to know about it to understand. And then sometimes our experience is shared and there can be some comfort in knowing that like, okay, this happens to a lot of people. It's okay. We don't have to carry that burden all by ourselves. It's a little
Yeah.
bit of a both. A both
100%.
situation.
Yeah.
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 Heavy episode.
It was heavy.
It's bringing a lot up for you. And I think that's okay. And I don't think you need to pull yourself out of it. I think you, Allie, can just sit in it and say, that brought a lot up for me. And you know what? We're fat.
We're fab.
We're friends.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.